right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm starting just a few minutes early because I want to make sure that I have a sense of how this is all working. I have not been on Facebook Live in a couple of years. I did Facebook Live for a long time, and then I moved over to Instagram, knew how to do that, and then I moved over to Zoom and was on Zoom for the last couple of years. So we're just gonna um, kind of be in the spirit of playing with this, however it shows up, and sort of trusting that it's all going to be fabulous. I am very excited about doing this on Facebook. So my name is Bonnie Sachs, and I have been doing a healing circle for the last 2 years. And as I said, I've been doing it on Instagram and doing it on Zoom and posting it into YouTube. And this year it dropped in for me to start doing it on Facebook and to build a community around reading this book. Hey Jill, it is great to see you. I'm so glad you popped in and made a comment, so I know it works and I can see it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're doing kind of a book club, book discussion slash healing circle around this book, A World Made New. And this is a text that is channeled by Paul Selig. This is actually his 12th book, so it's going to be really cool. I'm so very excited about this. And not only have I been doing the healing circle around the what they call the claims of truth in this in Paul Selig's books, but I've also done a podcast on one of his books called The Kingdom. I think that was the 10th book maybe that he did. And I also have been teaching his work for a while. So when I read this book, and I'm not all the way through, but when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so good. Wow, this is so good. And I have a very dear friend, Joan, who you will hear me talk about on occasion. And she has read all the books, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And so when the information came in that I was going to be doing this every other Monday night, uh, doing little bits of the book and doing a healing circle around this book in particular, I was so excited. And I just think it's so awesome because it's 2025 and there is no coincidence that we're a quarter of the way through the uh, through through the millennium. What am I saying? Yes, through that. And um, and this year is about power, and here's where we're going to work on building our power. And so thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to have each and every one of you here. This is going to be recorded. It is going to be posted. If you can't get to it when we do it live, you can always go back and watch it. The healings are always available for you. And that goes without saying that it doesn't have anything to do with watching this. If you are, sitting in the middle of a traffic jam and you need some help having some patience and some love and some more grace, you can always ask for more healing, for more grace, for more patience, for more love, whatever it is that shows up. But this will be recorded. You can go back and watch it. That's a really cool thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the book in pieces, and I'm going to be posting what we're going to be talking about. Tonight we're going to be talking about pages 1 through 7, and we'll go through those pieces. I have a couple of points that I want to make, but if you have something that shows up for you, please, please, please feel free to put it in the chat. I'm happy to change course and talk about something in particular, I am happy to give you a healing on whatever shows up. Hey, Dorothy, it's great to see you. However it shows up, this is an hour of time set aside for us to just see what shows up. So we're going to have the healing circle piece of it. We're going to have conversations about the book, lots of participation. Please feel free to just pop whatever you need into the comments and we'll do those. And then for those of you who may or may not have heard of Paul Selig, Paul Selig channeled his first text in 2009. The book is called I Am the Word, and he calls them the guides, and the guides are the enlightened archangels known as Melchizedek. Probably about the last 3 books, maybe, he started talking about their name, and they kind of talk more about themselves in the later books. In the beginning, they do not. So if you decide to start with the first book, you won't hear about that. But that is who he channels, and I just really love these books for how practical the information is, like stuff that I can use. Now, I will tell you, if you've never read any of his books or listened to any of his lectures, it can be a little confusing. There are times, even now, I have read all of the books, that there are times I read them and I'm like, what? I don't understand. What does that mean? And I have to reread it before it finally like clicks in, where I go, oh, okay, now that makes sense. So if you're somebody who picks the books up and goes, oh, this is impossible, then just trust how it shows up for you, and that's okay. Sometimes when I read the books, I just simply open up to a page and start reading something, knowing that that's going to be perfect for whatever I need that I'm going through that particular day. I also listen to the books on audio when I'm walking around my neighborhood, and there are times where I'm just like, I heard that 5 times and I still don't completely understand it. And then there are times that I'm dancing down the street because the stuff is so good. You just let it be however it shows up. And if you just want to participate in the healing circle, you don't care about reading the book, that's okay too. There is absolutely no requirement to read the book in order to join the conversation, because there is never a need for you to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to. And of course, this is a community. I'm posting things regularly. I'll be posting little bits and pieces about the books. You can just pop in, read what pertains to you, comment about what you want, ask for a healing, and know that's perfect too. Easy peasy easy. So let's get started. Casting a circle of light, specifying that only Source, Creator, God, my healing team, and the support teams as necessary be present for tonight's journeying through a world made new, the book discussion and the healing circle. And tonight is just about like, let's just see how this shows up. Let's see what pops in. Let's see the healings that are available for us about different pieces of the book. Let's just be in community, be in love, and enjoy spending an hour together. So with that, um, may it be with a blessing, blessing, blessing of Source, that we continue to know ourselves in truth, continue to trust how things show up in our lives, knowing that they're exactly perfect, exactly as they are. And may we do everything in love, love, love. With that, we say amen. And there's always a chorus of ahos that are sort of popping in around. There are many people who do not show up in bodies, don't show up like here on while we're recording, but they are certainly present, busy putting in their 2 cents. So hey, Heather, it is great to see you. How cool is that that you have seen Paul Selig live? I just can't even imagine what that would be like. And of course, if you ever listen to him, or I'm sure, Heather, you've had that experience of he actually, as he channels, he speaks the words that are given to him and then he repeats them. And so there's almost like a double speak, I guess you might say. And there are some people that is really hard to sort through. And so they prefer to read the books or read the transcripts of the programs. But oh, wow, that would be so cool. He actually is going to be, I think he's going to be in Italy this summer. I think it's in Italy. And I was joking with Joan, come on, let's go. Let's go see him in Italy. But I don't know that that's going to happen. How cool is that? Thank you for sharing that. What an opportunity. So we have the book here, and the way the book is organized, if you have never read one of his books, is that they are organized according to days. And in the beginning, the books weren't organized quite in the same way, but now you can see possibly that this is the introduction that says true identity, and there's day one. So we're actually going to just work through the book. We're in day one, yay. And we're going to do the first 7 pages, which is about half of day one. And then on the 20th, I think it is, 6 and 14 is 20. So we are going to do the rest of day one, and then we'll start on day two and we'll see how that shows up. But I wanted to do just a little piece of it. And there's some good stuff even at the very beginning. So if you happen to see on the group page, I posted the first sentence from the book. What stands before you today in an awakened state is a new responsibility, to claim a world made new, to claim a world made new. And in that simple sentence right there, um, there's a healing opportunity for us. When they use the term awakened state, awakened, being awake, being, um, cognizant, being conscious. So all those places where we go unconscious is an opportunity for us to heal it. So, being in an awakened state, that's an awesome thing, and we're happy to take that healing. Wow, Dorothy, you saw him in Alexandria, Virginia. That is so cool. I'd be really interested how often he was in the Virginia area. He probably wasn't there when I was still there. That's where I'm originally from. But that'd be really cool. And Boone, North Carolina retreat. Oh my Lord. I got some experienced Paul Selig people here. Awesome. Anytime you want to pop something in, please feel free. You definitely have a lot of experience with that. So please feel free to pop it in. So we have in this particular book, I just think this is really cool. This particular book repeats the phrase over and over again. What stands before you today in an awakened state. And I think later on in the book they say what stands before you today in a realized state. And realization is a frequency. It's a very high frequency, along with awakening. Awakening is a high frequency as well. Awakening is a frequency that helps clear unconsciousness. Isn't that like very cool. And then realization is a high frequency that helps um, heal not only unconsciousness, but it also helps heal fear, and it helps heal pain. There's a lot that can be healed when we say, what stands before you today in a realized state. When we make the statement, I realize, there's a healing involved in all of that as well. So, first few words, we're already getting into it. And so they talk about claiming a world made new, claiming a world made new. And that phrase for me is like, oh, yes, let's claim the world made new. And you might want to ask what a world made new looks like to you. If you have any thoughts on it, feel free to pop it into the chat. Um, a world made new for me definitely looks like a world where we all know that we are connected, that we are not separate, that it's not like, you know, you, Dorothy, you, Heather, you, David, like all of us are separate. We are actually very interconnected. And, in the healing alchemy world, when I work on myself, I'm also working on you. When I work on you, I am giving myself a healing as well. There are so many connections for us. And so, a world made new for me very much looks like we understand that we're not separate. We understand that every one of us is connected to every other one of us. And to me, it often shows up like we're in a big ship. The earth is just one big ship. And, the idea, if the ship sinks, we all go down. And when the ship goes up in frequency, when it rises up, all of us are doing that as well. So that's part of what a world made new looks like to me. Have any thoughts about that? And it might be something that you're just like, hmm. Heather, may we be at peace in the frequency of peace. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the frequency of peace came onto the planet in the last couple of years. And it's a really beautiful frequency. It's a high frequency, and so we just keep lifting everything up, right? Keep lifting everything up in that process, and we will be in that place of peace. It's a beautiful intention to set for all of us to be in peace. Now, also in that first sentence is a new responsibility. I was saying in the group a couple of days ago that some of us have that energy of responsibility being like, oh my God, just one more thing. Got to put just one more thing on my plate. Like, I don't know if I want another responsibility. And that's something for all of us who have that to heal, where you go, no, it's not like that. And several of you made comments about how it wasn't that they felt like it was a heavy burden, that responsibility, but instead it was like a gift that we were being given, that it is our responsibility. And I love, love, love that a lot of you felt that way, that it is a gift that we're being given to care for and be responsible. So, for the fun of it, because I must be like really loving these books, because I actually have the book in the physical. This book, I have the book here. I have the book that I listen to on Audible, and I also have the book on my Kindle. So for the fun of it, I actually searched in the book on the Kindle for the words responsible or responsibility. Anybody want to take a guess how many times the words responsible or responsibility show up in this one book? Terry, the integration of the difference between manifestation we live in and the reality of who we are. I love that, right? The difference between how we're living and what our truth is. And that's okay because we're busy living in this life, having these experiences, maybe getting triggered by spouses or bosses or neighbors or whatever, and that's okay. We're, completely cool that we get triggered. And then there are the reality of who we really are, right? Our true self or our true identity, as they talk about it in the first parts of the book. So um, yeah, that's a great one. Thank you, Terry. Um, yeah, I wish there was 100. Wouldn't that be cool? There are actually, see, when I did this, you all say 100, and then I'm like, wow, it isn't close to that. I got you all excited. They actually mention it 37 times in the book. Being responsible, responsibility, which I just think is a lot. I um I have done that before in the books, and I don't remember any of the statistics. They really don't stay in my head. But there are some phrases and some words that they just use over and over and over again. And there's just such an awesome healing um, in that process. So, yeah, 37 times they mention that, which, says, oh, this is probably an important thing. So, if there are any of you that are kind of like the responsibility piece, need a healing on, happy to help you with that. If you don't need a healing on it, that's okay. Um, so the book references responsibility, and over on page 169, we'll be there sometime this year, that actually they make a statement that responsibility is not a punishment or that you caused it. And I love that because sometimes the responsibility feels just like that. Like, oh God, now I have to, there's a punishment. Like, I'm responsible for why, the window got broken. I'm responsible for why somebody didn't get their work done. I'm responsible for somebody else's behavior. And sometimes we can link that to a punishment. I would say that's probably from when I was a kid, and it was like I wasn't being responsible, and now I'm going to get punished. But the guides specifically say that that isn't what they mean by responsibility. It's not a punishment. And it also doesn't mean that we caused anything. It's just, that it is just a responsibility. Let's see. They say responsibility is not punishment. It doesn't mean you caused it, but it does mean you are accountable to the act, and it is now yours to behave with, to align to, in a new way, lest you perpetuate a sense of victimhood that will simply call more victimization to you. Yes. So view responsibility as ownership. I like that. Yeah, I'm responsible. I own it. There's a real maturity to that, right? Ownership. Hey, Ashley. Responsibility, ability to respond. I love that one too. I love that ability to respond. Yeah, that makes sense. Response, right? How we add a lot of other stuff to the meaning of words, which is a lot of what they're talking about in these first few pages is the meaning of words, right? how we um, how we attach a lot of meaning to words. Wow, actually, that's so awesome. Because they do talk about words and their meanings and, you know, keeping it, keeping, reminding ourselves that words can be very simple. Woohoo! Hey, Athena, it's good to see you. So, over on page 3, they say in that first full paragraph, we said idea intentionally because all things are ideas and then claimed in form or made manifest in form. What you call the weather, what you call the globe, what you call your sister or the building you work in, these are all ideas held in vibration, codified through language and understood by you in this collective field. So see how responsibility can have a lot of meanings because we're in a collective field, and not every, they're just perfect. However, it shows up for you. Terry, I love that. Responsibility is empowering. It puts you at the choice. When you own it, you're at a choice and you're no longer a victim. Yes. And in fact, that is another healing opportunity for all of us. Any places where we want to go to being a victim, you know, it can show up in a lot of different ways. You don't have to feel a victim about this book, but the fact that victimization shows up, it's great healing. I love that. So we're going to give everybody a healing in places where we go to being a victim as a response to something, whatever it is. We can give ourselves a healing on that. It's fabulous. Allah. Responsibility for me is being able, can make it happen. Dependable. Yeah, I love that. I love that. You guys are so good, man. We're going to create our own dictionary. How's that? Let's have our own dictionary. So, yeah, Jill, responsibility is accountability, right? I'm being responsible, stepping forward. Yep, that was me. It's perfect. Fabulous. Yes. Ashley, when we're not being responsible, we're not being in our ability to respond, right? Yep. And sometimes not being responsible, not being able to respond can be that we're coming from a place of fear or pain or anger. You know, fear is a really big one, right? Like, um, oftentimes the reason why we lie is because of fear. We go into fear that we're going to get in trouble, that there's going to be a punishment, that there's going to be some sort of repercussion for telling the truth. And it doesn't have to make sense. It can be something from, you know, childhood. It can be something from a past life. Something is there for us to heal that fear spot. So if you want to look at, you know, stop and ask where you have some fear showing up, we're happy to help you with that. We've been working on fear for everybody while we sit here. Trust me, I was like, what's this going to be like doing this on Facebook? Oh my gosh. So lots of healings on fear for us tonight. So Ashley, victimness. Oh, I like that. Has been showing up around you a lot. Yeah, it's really I just think victim being a victim is a consequence of living on this low frequency planet, right? It's from from even being a young child, it is all around us, and we get used to, it's not my fault. It's that person's fault. I didn't have the information. Wasn't there for it. I didn't hear it. I didn't understand. There's lots of things. So it is perfect however it shows up. Jill, in your sternum, you can see my hand has been on my sternum. For sure, there is a lot there. We carry a lot of stuff around in our sternum. It is a power place in a human body, and so we find a lot of stuff in our sternums. And I think that's why there's no coincidence that there's a lot of heart disease and a lot of issues like that. It starts with the energy, and then, when there's enough of the low frequencies in there, it starts to manifest out into conditions and diseases. So happy to help everybody with that. Channeling those nightmares, happy to help you with those as well. I often see dreams, nightmares, things that happen at night is the conversation between our higher self and our personality. And so your higher self is like, we're moving a lot of fear here. And that is a great thing. So get that healing in the victimization, however it shows up. Yes. Okay. We haven't even gotten past the first sentence. Well, sort of past the first sentence. There's a lot here. There's a lot here. So another note that I have, and if you all, once again, if you have anything you want to talk about where it has to do with Paul Selig, with his books, with any of the frequencies, whatever you want, feel free to put it in the chat. You're always welcome to do that. The note I have is about identity. And on page 2, they talk about your true identity. And if you are somebody who's read any of Paul's books, you know that they have used a lot of different words for, true identity. They talk about our true selves. Sometimes he's talked about higher self, not nearly as much as true self, or true identity is kind of a relatively new one, I believe. But when we're talking about the true identity, we're talking about our higher self, our I am presence, our soul, our monad. That's another term that they use a lot in Paul's books, the monad. They're all the true identity. And in truth, we are a higher self, or a soul, having an incarnation here in a physical body. And so that's one of the pieces that these books talk a lot about, is we are busy having an experience, and as we have this experience, we have an opportunity to discover that we're not separate, that that separation is something that we see a lot of around us, and we are continually reminding ourselves that we're not separate. Not that we're separate from our higher selves, but that we're not separate from each other, and we're not separate from source. So they talk a lot about true identity. True identity is the divine, or the aspect of God come as you, experiencing itself through you in agreement to all things. Underline the word all. It's incredibly important. All things. Not just the things before you, but all things that have been and will be, all you can see and imagine. You have come to experience the all, and the manifest being that you know yourself as is now coming to terms with its true nature. I love this. I am of source, as source and in source all at once. I am of source, as source, and in source all at once. And they continue and say, now what does that mean, you may ask? Well, your true identity, we will call it the monad or the true self, has always been here, can only be here, and can only be elsewhere as well, because it is not bound by the idea of time and space as the productive personality would utilize it. So basically, our higher selves, our monad, our soul, whatever word you want to use, is here, there, and everywhere. It is not bound by time and space because our higher self doesn't have those ideas that our personalities do. I was fascinated this year as I was moving through my day on New Year's Eve, that I was like, this is just another day. And tomorrow is just another day with a party in between that a whole bunch of us have agreed to recognize. And over again, I just kept having this feeling of like, this is a day, that's a day, and there's a party in between. And it's the first time I had more clear awareness of that agreement to time. Oh, it's not just any day, it's New Year's Eve, it's New Year's Eve at night, and then it's New Year's Day. That's an agreement that we have, right? The fact that it's January is an agreement that we all have on this planet. There might be some people who don't see this as January, who might see it as a different word, but we have these ways of organizing time so that we can interact with each other. Okay, meet me on Facebook at 7 o'clock on Monday, January 6th. That allows all of us to be here at the same time. And that's okay. But our higher self is not restricted to that, right? Our higher self, the soul, is moving around and can be anywhere and everywhere all at once. That's basically what they're saying. Terry, I love that you share that feeling of just another day throughout the holidays this year. I had a little bit of that as well, that there was just like, okay, so it's Christmas Eve. And I had moments of like pop diving into what might be part of the celebration. Like I liked tracking Santa on NORAD. And then it was like, oh, but it's just New Year's Eve. Or it's just, excuse me, Christmas Eve. So some of that, for anybody who experiences that, is part of the brain being rewired, um, being transformed. And they do talk about it here in the very beginning about, you know, the manifest reality that you exist in now. They call it the vibrational echo of a world that you see, has been contributed to by everyone who's ever lived here. Every idea has been inherited by us, claimed a realized world or a world known by you as a construct with its own architecture that you all agree upon. There's a whole bunch of things, right? Chairs and desks and kitchens and offices and jobs and relationships, right? We have all these shared constructs. And it's just an awareness for us to have that we share these things, and that that's okay. We share these concepts, but we don't have to be limited by them, right? Those of us who are really good at remembering our dreams, perhaps have a greater sense of not being limited to being here, like right here in the physical, right? Because you're like, oh, when I dream, I fly around and I visit other places and I just have a great concept that there's something more. We're not limited to it. So that's kind of a cool thing. That is not necessarily me, but in the process of us talking about this, we are actually moving past ideas, movies, pictures, frames of how things used to be, how things we think are now. We're moving the ones that no longer serve us, those pictures, frames, ideas, movies that are like, we're done with them. We've learned from them and we can now move them out. So we are doing that as we're sitting here talking about the book. How cool is it? We get to talk and heal at the same time. Yay! It's very cool. What the world is, pictures. Who I am in it, movies, frames, pictures. All of that. We get to move more of those because in truth, none of us are the same person in this moment that we were when we woke up this morning. We're not the same. We have gone up in frequency. We have had experiences and learned things and gone up in frequency since we woke up. Healings to all of us who think that, oh, that must be for somebody else, not for me. I certainly have had my moments, but we have. And we always are. We always are going up in frequency, healing things, whether we're aware of it or not. If anybody wants to admit to being triggered by something today, and then realizing sometime later, oh wow, it doesn't trigger me as much now as it did when it happened, it's proof. Look at that. Look at the healing that's happening. This stuff. Love this stuff. Cool. I have certainly had that. I TA for a class on Mondays, and when I left my friend's house after TAing, was in so much fear, and my heart was just like boom, 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 boom. And I just had this feeling of, which way do I go? Which way do I turn? Now I know the way home from her house, so it wasn't that, but it was that feeling like internally where I just was like, oh my gosh, I just can't sort it out. And so I got a healing on that. I reached out for some support, got a healing on that. And so I've gone up in frequency. Now, was I going up in frequency before that happened? Absolutely. But my personality likes to have every once in a while, like kind of that proof. Okay, look, I did get a healing somewhere in this process. So, yeah, that can be both, it's a double-edged sword, right? Really glad that I had that awareness, but God, I wish I didn't have that awareness because I kind of like when I'm just grooving through my day and don't don't get triggered. So, Terry, you were confronted today with an experience from many years ago. And in your mind, you thought you were supposed to be triggered, but in a flash, I realized I didn't feel anything about it anymore. Yes, 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 yes. Isn't that cool? Isn't that the best? You're like, you know, wait, I'm supposed to be triggered. Oh, I'm not. Cool. I love that. Kudos to you, man. That's really fabulous. I have in the last week and a half gone to two different events where I've been back with people that I used to be with all the time and have in the last 5 years or so, kind of like around COVID, just haven't seen much of them. And so it's really interesting to get together with these people and and have that sense of how things used to be and how I am now, and almost like trying to fit it all together. Like, am I the same person? Um, yes, I'm the same person, and no, I'm not the same person because I have grown, and I'm sure they have grown as well. It's not like they're not moving. I'm the only one moving, but that we've grown, and so, there's that like, all those things that used to bother us or we used to have kind of a gripe about just didn't feel like it was there. So kudos to you, Terry. That is totally awesome. And I'm sure a lot of you are going, oh yeah, I know what that is. I can feel that. Can feel that as well. Glow up, grown up. Yeah, man. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I had a lot of sense of growing up lately. I have a note here. If this applies to anybody, healing's available. Healing on feeling separate, on feeling like you screwed it up, and that you're getting it wrong, whatever that looks like. Those tend to be my things where, oh my God, everybody else gets it. I'm screwing it up. I'm getting it wrong. Oh my goodness. So, healings for you where that might show up. And certainly, if you're somebody who has joined us tonight and you're like, I just wanted to be part of the healing circle, and I don't know who this Paul person is, and I don't understand what the book is, you might feel like, I don't know what's going on. You're okay. You're in the right place. That is the case all the time. You're always exactly where you need to be. You're never making a mistake. We just kind of learn that in, growing up in school that, we got it wrong, that big red X. Let's move more red X's for everybody. Um, I'm never going to get it. I love that one, Terry. Yep. Happy to help with that. Happy to help with that. I'm just never going to get it. Not true. I can actually tell you there's a lot. I took, so in December, December 9th was my 8th anniversary of starting Mastery. Started Mastery December 9th, 2016. And Joan and I laugh about this all the time. Joan is the friend that I've talked about. She's the one who's read these books. She is amazing when it comes to these books. She's taught a lot of it. We did the podcast together. And Joan and I were in the very first class of Healing Alchemy together. And we still laugh how many times we were like, what'd she say? What are we supposed to do? What was that again? Like, what is she talking about? And that's okay. Put me in a calculus class, and I'm gonna have a lot of moments where I'm like, what? I don't understand, right? Put me in a class where I'm learning, Chinese, or I'm learning Russian, sometimes even Spanish. Put me in a class like that, and I'll have some moments where I just don't think I'm ever going to get it. Happy to give everybody a healing in that place. So, I love this question. I'm over on page 5. What will the world look like, you ask? What will the world look like? We're making a world new. Anybody have some ideas about what a new world will look like? Maybe it's a world where nobody trashes the earth. When I walk around my neighborhood, I try to walk every day. And I tried to pick up the trash and put it away, but you know, that might be something. What would my world look like if we didn't have trash anywhere? Gentlemen, need that for the class I'm taking now. Feel like I will never get it. If you are talking about the mastery class, gentlemen, you absolutely will. And it's all perfect. Terry, still waiting for the information to drop in. Totally cool. Totally cool. Happy to help. Ashley, ease, grace, and fun. Yeah, I think about that. I actually, I have heard that this, the Earth will be an enlightened teaching planet in about 300 years. And I believe it's in this book, A World Made New, that they talk about it somewhere in like day 6. And they talk about it and say that the world is going to be different in one generation, and then it's going to be different in 2 generations. But in the 3rd generation, which is, in my mind, is when my grandson, who is 8 months old, has children. Kind of mind blown. It might be when my grandson is a grandfather. This is going to be, yeah, your grandchildren's kids' generation, right? This is going to be um, changing it. I mean, the transformation that's happened just in my own lifetime has been extraordinary, but that generation will be um, in a place that looks worlds different than what it does now because of the healing that is going on, the transformation that is happening. And so they actually say in the book, you cannot even imagine it yet, because even what you would imagine is born in your idea of what can be. And that is always presupposition based on what was or what was expected by yesterday's actions, yesterday's belief, yesterday's language. So that is true, right? Um, I'm turning 59 next month, and so even just for me, there are times where I have to remind myself that I am not living in the same world today that existed when my kids were young. And because my daughter has a baby, I am constantly reminded, Mom, that's not how we do things. Mom, that's not how it happens. So it is that situation that things are constantly changing and rapidly, right? And they continue saying, we will discuss language later in this text and the importance of language and how language itself is about to be altered to move to a level of thought where even the idea of words becomes secondary to the impulse of being. So, telepathic thought, like you have a thought and instantly somebody else gets it. I have moments of that. Uh, Yesterday, I picked up my phone ready to send a message to somebody saying I needed a healing, and I picked up my phone, and just the minute before, they had texted me and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" That kind of stuff is going to happen more and more because we keep clearing our channels, like clearing out the low frequencies, and then it's easier for us to communicate. It's right here. I'm not making this shit up. So here they say, the teaching that is before you is about who you are, who you have become, and who you are about to become in a new way of experiencing the self in a world made new. That's so freaking cool. And I'm happy to give you a healing on the places where perhaps you are going, I want change. No, not me. I'm not doing that. You don't have to be excited about it all the time. Just every once in a while go, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. We are transforming these low frequencies faster than we can imagine. So earlier I was talking to you about Melchizedek. They are the guides that Paul talks about. And I love this. They say, experiencing the self in the world made new. And indeed, that will be the title of this text. Although Paul would regret having spoken the words, he would like something other. But we are here to remind him and you that this is the text we write. We are indeed the authors, and we sit before you now with a great smile and a great heart that is here to embrace you all as you set forth on a higher wisdom, a higher counsel than you have known thus far. If you didn't know it, these books are an energetic transmission. These books, if you have one of them, doesn't matter which one, there is so much healing in these books that you could pick up the book and just put it on your sternum and give yourself a healing. You can put it on your head. You can put it anywhere you want. You know, you can put your hand in the book if your hand is bothering you and you are getting a healing. Crazy to think about. Happy to give you a healing on what we call atheist energy. That is the energy that says that energy isn't real. But these books are encoded with language, encoded with healing, and it's really beautiful. So, Terry, I love that. Sleep with one of the books next to me. Which book is it going to be? Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. And sometimes when I have read them at night, I get so charged up with the information that I find it hard to sleep. So I try to read them in the morning. I have my cat here that you may or may not see. He often likes to walk in front of the screen, so we will see. So, we are the ambassadors of this change. We are the ambassadors of this change. I love this. Whether or not you like it or know it, every single one of you, every single person who has picked up one of Paul's books, every single person that has taken one of Care's classes, has taken a class and quit, is an ambassador to change, right? There is no rule about what it has to look like, how it is supposed to go. You are an ambassador of change, whether or not you like it or know it. That's what you are. Lots of healings for all of us on that particular piece. Over on page 6, they talk about it again. As we said, you are ambassadors. But the work of an ambassador is always to share, and in this case, deliver the country, the other tone, the other world, the upper room, if you wish, that you have come to know yourself through. So the upper room is something that they talk about a lot. The upper room is the energy of the creator in action. What? The upper room is the place where your higher self moves. It's the place where there is no fear, there is no pain, there is no anger. It's not heaven. It is a place where, if you have experienced it, you get a healing and you have perhaps even a moment where you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, wow, that feels really good. Now, in the next moment, it could be gone. But for a moment, you were in the upper room. We'll talk about that a lot as we go through. Ashley, I don't always feel the energy when I read or listen to his works, and there is a lot there, a lot here in me, right? There is a lot of low frequencies, there's a lot of atheist energy. I have a lot of clogs in my channels, so I'm not always feeling or knowing, experiencing it. See, here comes Sebastian. Um, so that's just how it is for me. And, I know that there's a lot of clogs in all of our channels. So that is it. And as you continue reading, as you continue going up in frequency, you will have more of those experiences of just like, oh, I get it. Kind of like when you read his stuff and you're like, you get it, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got it. Can't believe I understood it. Yeah, that too. And totally normal, totally okay. Definitely giving everybody healings on their channels as we sit here. And in fact, they say the gift to this teaching for some of you will be the remedy to old pain, but for many of you, it will be something other. It will be the awareness of what has always been true that has been denied and ignored and refuted through your agreement to a belief in separation that was never so. Simply put, the world that you see before you, the product of conscious thought and collective agreement, claimed in separation, will be moved again, altered again and again by the increase in tone, velocity, vibration, and song that all of you will be holding. You all, as you go up in frequency, you are the ones that are changing the world. You are the ones that are changing the songs that are being sung. They literally say, not just you who read these texts, but all who incarnate in these times of rapid, rapid change. My next door neighbor, the person across the street, the person I saw at the grocery store, the person who lives on the other side of the planet, all of us are experiencing these changes and taking the planet up. The person that we judge, that person is taking the planet up. Yes. Terry, I love the way you say that. Doesn't mean you're not getting the healing. It definitely doesn't mean you're not getting the healing. It means that it's it's being healed. Good point. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that. We sing your songs for you so that you may learn the words. As we teach, we remember you each in your true lineage, your true heritage. And we offer the inheritance that has been overlooked by you in favor of the small things, the things of the world, that you seek to possess and to know so that you may feel special. We are supporting you well beyond those needs because the gift of these teachings is always the kingdom. And what we say the kingdom is, again and again, is always so. The agreement to the manifest source, you may call it God, if you wish, as all things. The agreement to source as all things. God as all things. And they say, we thank you for your presence. If you haven't read their texts, they usually end with, we thank you for your presence. This is part of the introduction of the text. Stop now, please. Period, period, period. Those periods are healing just like everything else. We are totally loved and supported through this process. We forget because we live on a planet, we live in a country, we live in a culture where we don't always know that we are getting exactly what we need on an energetic level. That's the piece that Terry was talking about. Doesn't mean you're not getting the healings when you pick up the books. It means that you're just not aware of it all the time. We're getting healings all of the time, all of the time. Not just when we're sitting in the circle, 2 hours from now, the middle of the night, 3 days from now. You are getting the healings that you need, the experiences that you agreed to. It's really cool and it's really frustrating, and we really just want to trust all of it more. One of the reasons why we get together and we heal stuff and we chat and we talk and we're like, really? You felt that way? I felt that way too. Oh my God, it's so good to hear that somebody else feels that way. God, I feel normal. Anybody else have that? Just me. So, we have a gift tonight. I love this. Listen, last night, Terry sent me a text message, and Terry said, I don't know if you know this. She lives in Virginia, just outside of DC. She goes, I don't know if you know this, but we're expecting to have a, 6 to 8 inches of snow, and every time it snows, or anytime there's a weather event, I guess you said it a little differently, we lose internet service. And I said to her, let's create it differently. As you can see, Terry is on tonight. I think she said they had 6 inches of snow already, and I love that we can create it differently, right? We can create all of this differently, and so there is a gift for all of us. It is an orb. The reason why I told you about Terry, the snow. Those of you who may or may not know, it's snowing. The gift is an orb. It is a snow globe. Snow globe. Oh, look, Heather has a winter wonderland too. A gift is a snow globe. It's an orb, and there is it I see them as stars, but you can see them as snowflakes. You can see them as whatever is inside of your globe. But there, you might also have an awareness of other things that are inside your globe. So when I was looking at mine, I was like, oh, there's a little cube inside there. And the cube is the energy of union. Which I love. The orb is all about love. And so you can look inside, ask your higher self what is inside your snow globe. You can put your snow globe wherever you are directed. It might be something that you want to put in your throat or in your sternum, in your third eye, in your brain, in your knee, in your left big toe, whatever it is. It is your gift. And I am in deep gratitude for you being here. Dorothy, you're right. You might get really tired during a reading, and it will come to you when you sleep for sure. Are different ways that information comes to you. My higher self loves waking me up really early in the morning. Sometimes it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, let's go. That's when this program showed up for me. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, really? But trust how it shows up. Trust whatever shows up. If you don't have an awareness of what your gift is, that's okay. I'm happy to help. I was looking at some of them earlier today, and there were some that looked like the Winter Wonderland that Heather was just talking about. There are some that looked like almost like the ocean, like there were waves in the water, and then there were some that were like the cosmos, the whole cosmos in the orbs of stars and comets and shooting stars and things like that. So you just, however it shows up for you, if it does. Some of them, I see some of them that have little like flowers inside of them, petals and literally flowers, but so cool. So enjoy it. We are going to be back here journeying through page 7 through 12. I want to say it's the end of day 1. I hope that the end of day 1, the beginning of day 2, page 7 through 12. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope you had a good time. I hope you understood it. And if you didn't have a good time and you didn't enjoy it, you didn't understand it, please let me know. Whatever shows up, right? If you need something more or you wish we had done something a little differently, please let me know. I am open to all of that. This is really a program for all of us, right? It's going to be really cool. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to post it on the group. If you know somebody else who would benefit from this, who would like it, would love to do it, they can go back and watch the recording, or they can jump in at any time. You know, you can jump in 3 months from now. It'll be totally fine. However it shows up. If you want to join the conversations, I'll be putting up, periodically putting up some chats. What do you think about this? How do you feel about that? Feel free to pop back into the group. And if you need support at all, please, please, please message me through Facebook. Let me know, um, how I can help you, what I can do. Happy to help. Jill, it was so much fun tonight, and I have missed each and every one of you. As much as, I go, I can't wait to go on a break, I also miss it tremendously. So lots of love to all of you as I seal the field unto the light of that one true source creator, God, one who is responsible for all the love, all the magic, all the joy. And I am in deep, deep gratitude for Source, deep gratitude for my healing team and the support teams. Also, humongous gratitude for each and every one of you. How you show up in the world and show up here, show up for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so incredibly grateful. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, having conversations with you in between then, and lots of love and blessings to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all I have to do is figure out how to end this. Love you guys. Have a great week.